Hello, everybody. It's Tim again here with another movie review, this time for John Wick Chapter 4. And as far as the John Wick series goes, I've pretty much enjoyed them all to like different levels. I think that I've mentioned when I reviewed Part 3 that that one was pretty much my favorite. Um, I think I've probably changed my mind on that over the years. I think Part 2 is probably the best John Wick movie. That was kind of an awesome flick. But they're all pretty much 4 out of 4s. Maybe I would change my mind on Part 3 now if I rewatched it. Or I mean, in between like the times I've watched it up until this one, I think that one would probably be a 3.5 out of 4 now instead of a strict 4 out of 4. Um, they're all pretty damn good. This one right here, I would go ahead and say is a 4 out of 4. This is an awesome flick, either the best of the series or second best after Part 2. I'd have to rewatch them all like one after another to really be sure on that, but this is definitely either the best or second best. This is an awesome flick. It's not a perfect movie. There are some problems. For like the beginning of the movie, for the first act of the movie, like John Wick is it really doesn't feel like his movie. It's kind of like there's the dude in it who played like I believe Scorpion in the new Mortal Kombat reboot. I know he's been in some other stuff. I think he might have also have been in like Wolverine or the Wolverine or whatever, the one with the silver samurai in it, the one that took place in Japan. I think he might have also been in that movie. But he's been in a bunch of stuff this actor has, whose name I completely escapes me at the moment. But he's been in a bunch of stuff. He's like helping John Wick or whatever and protecting him. And you got Donnie Yen like being showed up there and all that. It's like they're doing a lot of world building, so they can't really focus on John Wick at the beginning of this. And that's the other thing is like the ending of Part 3 set it up for this just to be like a straight revenge movie with John Wick and Lawrence Fishburne going like whoop everybody's ass at the high table. That's really what it's set up for. But the bald chick from Part 3 isn't even in this. And that's what it seemed like it's set up for, and it's really not that. Like Lawrence Fishburne is not even in this movie hardly, except for like 2 sequences, and he does overact at some points. But when he is here, for the most part, he's good, he's fine. But he's really useless to this movie. They might as well have just killed him off in Part 3, to be honest, because that whole ending of like where it's like he's gonna be like some kind of badass to help Keanu Reeves whoop ass and take names. It's like no, he doesn't really do anything. But yeah, so that was weird. But yeah, as far as like the film goes, though, once the action kicks at the beginning with Donnie Yen being there, Donnie Yen plays like another guy who's supposed to be like a friend of John Wick's from back in the past. Like all these people who keep popping out of nowhere who are like in the franchise supposed to be like friends of John Wick's from the past. It's like more and more world building. It would be more impactful if this was actually somebody who was introduced in John Wick Chapter 1 and kind of like build up through the movies who was friends with John Wick. That probably would have been more impactful that way for Donnie Yen's character. But he's still great here. Donnie Yen's one of the best parts of the movie. He shows up here, you get this awesome like fight scene or whatever, all these like people in body armor and everything, and you got other people who are and throughout the movie they make use of this clothes or whatever that's like bulletproof, which is pretty neat, pretty funny. But some great action scenes at the beginning. Donnie Yen whooping ass using these motion detectors, the people going through it and everything. He's kicking ass, and they're gonna kill his daughter. Basically, the high table is if Donnie Yen doesn't kill John Wick. And you got the dude who played It in the new It reboots or whatever. Bill Skarsgård is here. He does a great job playing a slimy scumbag. He's not a fighter villain. He's one of those villains who just like sits back and he's in control of everything, so everybody just takes orders from him. And he does a good job being a slime ball. And by the end, yeah, he does a great job. You really hate him by the end because he's such a slime ball. But yeah, you get some awesome action scenes with Donnie Yen, the whole motion sensor thing and everything. That was cool. Like when people walk by it, he just like takes him out with his sword or shoots him. That was really cool. You get a cool fight scene with him versus John Wick, which was really fun. And Donnie Yen, of course, plays a blind swordsman, so that's even cooler. Which he also kind of did in Star Wars Rogue One. John Wick, you get to see Keanu Reeves take people out with nunchucks and everything. I will say at the beginning of this movie, for when it was the first act was going on, it wasn't like loaded with Keanu Reeves action. It was more action of some of the side characters. But it was still good action. And when Keanu Reeves did actually start fighting with the nunchucks and everything, it was really cool. Like, once again, they're trying to do, like, a whole lot of world building in this. And I believe this is the longest of the John Wick films. And you do feel it. Like, it did feel at times a bit too long. Like, it was taking a bit too long to get to the action and stuff and get to the point. But they do a lot of really cool world building here. You got, and the world building does work, but at the same time, though, it's like at this point the world may be getting too big. Like there's maybe too much going on, and you get this other part in the movie where Keanu Reeves has to like do a card duel with Scott Adkins that just kind of feels like it maybe doesn't really need to be in the movie. But you got like this sequel. You got this character called the Tracker. This black dude who's hunting after John Wick who wants to take him out so he can collect the bounty on his head that Bill Skarsgård put on his head. It's like 20 million. It keeps going up to like 40 million and so on and so forth. But his character, he's good. I liked him more as the film went along, but he doesn't really need to be in the movie. Like, you could have took him out and it really wouldn't change anything. But overall, the actor does a good job, and he has a fun presence with his dog that he has with him, who's like his attack dog. He keeps saying nuts, and it bites people in nuts. It is pretty fun. But he really could have just been wrote out of the movie, to be honest. And you got this hilarious scene with Scott Adkins, though, like I was saying, where he's playing cards with him. He's this fat dude. It is kind of maybe an over the top type performance, but it's a fun one, and it fits the more comic bookish feel of this franchise. It's becoming more comic booky as it goes along with more and more movies. And then Keanu Reeves like cuts the side of his neck with a card and chases after him. And all at once, even though it's Scott Adkins, he's playing a big fat guy, and he like takes a whiff of his inhaler, and it's like he just took roids, and he like whips out kung fu, like beats the shit out of Keanu Reeves. That was funny. He's fighting Keanu Reeves, and like he just won't die. Scott Adkins' character won't, and he finally manages to like kill him by the end. It's a really fun, like big long sequence. It's almost like too fun to the point where it's like it's kind of disappointing that Scott Adkins' character died. This guy was he was pretty damn funny. Scott Adkins was this movie. Like, I would have liked to have seen him come back in a John Wick 5 or something, or a spinoff. But yeah, it was fun. Of course, he gets killed. You get to the climax of the movie, which is he challenges Bill Skarsgård character to a duel. Like, you got this duel where they're going to like walk so many paces, then turn around and shoot each other. And they're going to keep shooting after so many, and get closer and closer if the other person doesn't die until one person is left, and keep reloading shots. And John Wick wins, then everything's square. And of course, the French dude, being a slime ball, he nominates Donnie Yen to like be his surrogate shooter or whatever. And it's pretty. The climax of the movie is like nonstop action, because the French dude doesn't want to take any chances, so he like puts the bounty up even higher on John Wick's head, and you got like this awesome action at the end. Some of the best action that's probably ever been put in an action film at the end here of this climax, for how long it is and how much there is. I will say at points it maybe the action does kind of stretch on a little too long, even for me as a big action fan. But then they start to like spice it up with some different types of action and stuff like that, and it makes it more fun to kind of take you out of any kind of lull you may be having with too much of the same or similar action. And when he gets to the climax and he's like running through different places and whatever in this abandoned building with holes in the floor and everything, he's like shooting people with exploding shells and they're catching on fire. And it's like shot from overhead where it looks like a bunch of toys moving around or whatever. That was kind of cool. I really like that. Really great directing here for the action and everything. Great direction. And he starts blowing them all away. It gets to the end. There's this asshole dude who's like the right-hand guy for the French dude, and he keeps attacking Keanu Reeves. And of course, there's like 20 guys. He's killed like half the country by the end of the movie. He's trying to make it up these stairs. And Donnie Yen shows up to help him out, because Donnie Yen wants to be the one that kills him so he can have his daughter saved. So he helps him out and helps him kill some people with a sword and everything, which is pretty cool. And you get the black dude, he ends up like deciding not to kill Keanu Reeves or trying to kill Keanu Reeves anymore, because Keanu Reeves saves his dog at one point, because Keanu Reeves' character John Wick's a dog lover. That's one thing we know from these movies. So that makes him like not want to kill Keanu Reeves or anything. So he ends up actually helping him at the end and shoots the French dude's like right hand man or whatever that's going to kill Keanu Reeves at the end. And that causes and then he walks over to his dog and like bites him in the nuts, and then he shoots him in the head and kills him. I will say the comedy here where the dog like pisses on him after he's dead, that's a little much. You didn't need that. But when he gets to the end with this whole duel thing between him and Donnie Yen, that was really cool. And you get the idea that he kind of like lets Donnie Yen win, because you get to the end, it's like the next shot or whatever, and they've both been shot. And, well, Donnie Yen's kind of been shot in a more fatal place, like through hitting him on like the side of the stomach. So you get the idea that maybe Keanu Reeves kind of lets him win, because he knows that or he lets him get the next shot in so he doesn't have to shoot, because he knows that the Bill Skarsgård character, is going to be arrogant. He's going to walk over there and be like, I'm going to get the final shot. I decide to take it, and he gets ready to shoot him, and the guy that plays Winston, Ian McShane or whatever, is like, you arrogant fool, he never fired. And then Keanu Reeves raises the gun up, shoots him in the head. So it's like Keanu Reeves wins, and Donnie Yen's daughter's safe and everything. So everything works out. Of course, you get the sequence after this, though, where Keanu Reeves' John Wick like walks over there on the steps, and he lays down, kind of like Ryan Gosling in Blade Runner 2049, like lays down like he's about to die or is dying, and he's like, Winston, take me home. And you get to the next scene, and there's Winston and friggin' Lawrence Fishburne there, or whatever, at his headstone, where he implies that he's dead. And it is a somber, very well done ending. This ending climax with the whole dueling pistols and everything, how the French dude got took out, or his character got took out, and Keanu Reeves' death here really amps this up to really feel like an awesome movie. Easily a 4 out of 4, but the climax saves it with all the action it's got and everything, even though there are some dumb moments like the dog pissing and everything. But by the end of it, with the whole dueling pistols and everything and all that, I love the ending to this. This was a great ending. And it implies that John Wick died, but they don't show him being buried or anything, so they leave it open in a way of like, if we do want to make a fifth, we could squeeze it out here. We could just say, well, maybe he survived, but I feel like you would have to do it a certain way, because if you did a fifth, in a certain way to where he just came back or just faked his death so he could like go after the high table or whatever, it would seem kind of cheap. And that's another thing, the whole high table thing. Keep hearing about this high table. We haven't seen him for 4 freaking movies. If they make a fifth, we need to see the high table. Like, they need to go balls to the walls, have Keanu Reeves go straight to the high table and beat their asses, and just have an epic battle. Either the high table or just rich people who are just running all the assassins because they have the most money, or they're all the ultimate badasses and they're running all the assassins because they're just the ultimate badasses. But we need to see this friggin' high table. They need to go to them and take out the people who are in charge. We need to see them finally, see John Wick actually battle the high table. John Wick 5 has to go there. If there's another one with Keanu Reeves back, it's what it has to be. But yeah, if he just faked his death to like go out on some kind of revenge thing or whatever or something, to go after the high table, that would seem kind of cheap. But you do need the high table to be shown and to be fought in the next movie by Keanu Reeves if there is a part 5. More than likely, they'll probably say he faked his death or whatever. That way, he just wouldn't have to worry about any more reprisals or anybody else like coming after him or anything. And also, just so Donnie Yen could win or whatever, or maybe he thought he was dying, but he actually got saved. I don't know. There's some ways you can do it to pull it off, but it would seem maybe a little cheap and undermine the ending here of Chapter 4 if he did come back. Like, really, I would be fine if they just focused on spin-off movies. Like, I would be totally fine if they just did, like, movies with Donnie Yen or something now. I know they're doing the Ballerina movie, which I don't have much interest in because really I haven't seen anything from it, so I don't know anything about it. Besides the fact it's one of the people from the ballerina school that we saw in John Wick 3 or whatever, who were being trained to be assassins or whatever, the females. That could work. Any of the spinoffs could work if they're done a certain way. Don't need to overdo it, though, and do too much. Like a Donnie Yen spinoff, that I can roll with. Like a movie with his character Kane, that would be cool. Sorry about that. I had a hiccup at the same time. But yeah, all in all, I'd give this a 4 out of 4. It's an awesome flick. Great ending to the series. If you want, for the Keanu Reeves section, if you want to do spinoffs about Kane and everything, that's cool. But I do think you probably could just stop with the John Wicks here. If they do another one and they surprise me with it for a good, plausible explanation for his return, I'd be cool with that. But I don't want something that'll undermine the ending to this. So, all in all, thank you for watching, and I'll see you again.